Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Dark and the Wicked. And guess what? Brian Bertino's film is dark, it's wicked, and it's effed up. And this is the kind of horror film where it's like you go on Rotten Tomatoes and like critics, it's like 90 something percent, and then the audience rating is at least 30 points lower. Because this isn't about slasher movie. This isn't about like jump scares and ghosts. Well, there's supernatural stuff going on here, but this isn't like your mainstream horror. This isn't pulpy horror. This is some deep rooted, grim, and foreboding experience. And that's the best way to describe this film, is it's foreboding. You're sitting here and there's just a dark atmosphere that just cloaks you while you're watching this film, because how Bertino and his cinematographer Tristan Nebe and how composer Tom Schreider all come together to create this atmosphere, this crisp shots. This film felt like it was evoking a lot of, say, like The Witch and films like Robert Eggers' work. And there's wide angles and just lingering on disturbing imagery. This film is disturbing. See a lot of old people naked. And they're like grotesquely naked. And you see grotesque abominations of people and what they're doing to themselves. And where this film is about two children, like adult children, played by Marin Ireland and Michael Abbott Jr., who come home because their parents on a secluded farm, their father is slowly dying, and they realize that their parents, who they haven't really been connecting with, and this is what makes some great horror, is when you have a really strong central theme that is very human and relatable, like taking care of your elderly parents. And I guess having grown up I live with my grandparents, and I have my mom has 5 siblings, and seeing who's the one taking care of them, who's the one who shows up, and those kinds of themes are so deep-seated in this film, because it's really focusing on these children who aren't really there for their parents, and now they're here, their father's dying, and something disturbing has happened with their parents while they haven't been around. And this darkness, whatever it is, don't want to give anything away in terms of that fact, but something is compelling some violent, horrible things to happen. And where this film really works is tricking the audience, as these dark forces are tricking those who are in the film, these characters, into seeing the worst and compelling them to do the worst. And there's one particular scene towards the end of this film that maybe some of you will guess what's really happening. I was so drawn in to the slow, just methodical camera work, the disturbing imagery, the acting. In this scene, Michael Abbott Jr. does such a fantastic job of emoting just despair and devastation and just complete heartbreak. Everyone is firing on all cylinders in this film, and it took me a while to really feel connected to the themes in the story, which is keeping this from being one of the top horror film that I've seen this year. This film, when it kicks into gear and you're really settled in and just encompassed by this film, you're overwhelmed by the disturbing and despairing nature of what's going on in this film. And the acting is great. There are so many creepy, unnerving, and just straight horrifying set pieces throughout the film. And this film is so good, and Bertino does such a great job of tricking the audience into falling into the same traps our characters are. And that's what really makes this effective and terrifying. At every turn, you don't know what's going to happen, And after a while, you might think it's like, I expect something to happen, but it still gets you. And this might not have the most traditional ending. It might disappoint some people because it's a very art housey kind of conclusion to the story, and isn't exactly like sunshine and rainbows, but up until the end I was engrossed and terrified, and I think The Dark and the Wicked is one of the best horror films I've seen all year. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.